Hi, welcome back to Fish the Mark. Appreciate everybody joining in and taking a look at the channel and subscribing and providing some comments. Appreciate everybody's support. Today we're going to start our series of how-to sessions, kind of tips and techniques around different things. And today's session is going to be specifically focused on shallow water dock fishing with drop baits. So things like Texas rig plastics and jigs. And so this is something I've done for a long time. It's actually the first lakes I fished as a kid growing up were very rich in docks, had a lot of docks on them, and caught a lot of fish off docks over the years. And a lot of my tournament monies that I've won over the years have all come off of docks. And so I feel like this is something I'm very proficient at and have had a lot of success over the years with. So I thought I would kind of start there for my first how-to video, just because of my comfort level with it. And share that for everybody. And so we're going to jump in and get started here with shallow water docks for drop baits. And so there's really a couple, three docks here I want to go through and just kind of show you some docks that I like and talk about why I like them and what their advantages are and what to look for in docks. And then talk about how we approach a dock and how I approach it and the casts that I make to the dock. And then we will show some videos of actually doing that and catching some fish, and then go into the lures that we use to do that. And then wrap up with some lessons learned. So this first dock here is a dock I like a lot. It's on a lake that I do a lot of fishing on. So I've fished this dock many times. It's a very good dock. It has a lot of big fish I've caught off of it over the years. The water is low when I took this picture, which is perfect for taking the picture, but not necessarily perfect for catching fish. But you can see the water line right here is where the water normally is on these wood posts. So the water is usually up another 4 or 5 inches, which means that it's the deck is really close to the water, which gives you more fish underneath that dock. So the deep end of this dock is about 3.5 feet. The shallow end is about 1 foot deep when it's at full pool. And with the decking being close to the surface like that, it really draws the fish in. The other thing is it's got wood posts. You don't see a lot of wood posts in Illinois anymore because ice has a tendency to get in the wood posts and tear the dock up. So most dock owners don't use wood. But the ones that do really provide an advantage for us fishermen. There's just a lot more fish on wood docks than there is metal post docks usually. And so there's more algae that grows on the docks. There's more surface area there. It draws in more little fish, which draws in more bass for us. And so I really like that. The other thing I like about this dock is it's got these big, long horizontal supports the whole way back. And that really draws a lot of fish in as well as it provides a lot of cover. And when the water is at full pool, those posts are partially underneath the water. So that provides a lot of structure for the fish to go hide in. Here's another dock, similar depth, 3.5 front, 1 foot in the back. When the water was low when I took these pictures. When the water's up, it's a good height from the water. You can still skip underneath there, but it's low enough that it attracts fish. The two real nice things about this dock are it's got a ton of support poles, especially back here in the back. You can see them all back there, but it's got a ton of support posts in the back that really draw a lot of fish to it. And then you can't see it on this picture, but along the shoreline is a lot of rock and riprap that the homeowners put in, and that attracts a lot of crawfish and a lot of small bait in there. So the fish, the bass have not only fish that are drawn to this dock, but they also have a lot of fish and crayfish, food that they're going to eat drawn to that rock. And so there's a lot of opportunity for them to feed through here. And so this is another dock that's been very good to me over the years. And then this third dock, it's got some challenges to it. It's high off the water. The horizontal supports are not in the water, they're above the water. And so on at first glance, this isn't a dock that you would think would have a lot of fish on it, but it's got a lot of vertical posts in it. So that helps to attract some fish. And the other thing that it has is the homeowners put a few tree limbs underneath there. And so those tree limbs underneath the water that you can't see, but when you fish it, you find them, attract fish as well. So this is another really good dock for fishing, and I've caught a lot of fish off of it, but as much because of the tree limbs underneath the dock as it is the dock itself. And that's something you just find out by fishing the dock. So as I go to approach a dock, there's a few things I try to keep in mind. One of them is you always want to be quiet when approaching the dock. These are shallow water fish. They're going to be spookier than a deep water fish. So you have to approach it with some stealthiness and some quiet. If you haven't established a pattern yet, I'm going to go through and show you how I initially approach a dock until I get a pattern together and knowing where the fish are. Once you get a pattern on docks, usually from dock to dock, the fish are in very similar places and you can go right to that spot to identify them. I tend to fish fast. I tend to move dock to dock pretty quickly. 9 out of 10 of my partners complain that I move too fast. And so I like identifying that pattern and then going right to that pattern and moving dock to dock. So you'll see that as if you see me on the water, you'll see me kind of moving quickly dock to dock if I've got a pattern identified. So this is how I go about identifying the pattern. I fish first to the corner as I come up to a dock. So I hit the outside edge and then I hit the back edge. And then if there's just one post in the middle, I'll cast to that post here. If there's 2 or 3 posts, I may hit each of those 2 or 3 posts, but cast to the outer edge of that. And then I'll skip, the dotted line is a skip. I'll skip to the back of that dock. And then I'll come out and hit this outer edge, and then I'll skip back in here. And then I'll hit the last cast I'll make on this dock. This is the outer edge in the back. And those are the 7 casts that I'll make to a dock like this before I move on to the next dock. Now, if I've got a pattern put together, I may go right to that pattern. If I've been catching them on this 3rd cast spot right here, I may hit that first, trying to get the fish right off the bat. But when I'm still trying to identify a pattern or I'm trying to really work a dock, these are the 7 casts I'll make to start that dock off. So I'm going to show a video fishing a dock. I had a bit of a pattern already for the day. They were under the docks, pinned to the shallow side, but I didn't have it totally nailed down yet. So you'll see that I'm working the outer edges before I go underneath the dock. This dock isn't a great dock. It's high off the water. It doesn't have horizontal supports. It's got metal posts and not a ton of metal posts, but it's the first dock going into the mouth of a cove. And so this is a fall fishing pattern. The fish are moving in and out of that cove, or actually they're moving into the cove. And so they're stopping to that dock along the way as they move into the cove in the fall. So this ends up being a good location dock, even though the dock doesn't have really great qualities to the dock itself. And so here Bella and I are coming up to the dock, and as we're coming up here, you know, I'm going to make several pitches the outer edge. Now, one thing this dock does have that makes it attractive is this boat lift. Boat lifts tend to attract fish to them. They provide additional structure. This boat lift is in crazy shallow water. And so I've got a history that it doesn't catch a lot of fish off the dock or off the boat lift. I tend to catch them more off the dock. And so I'm working my way here in the outer edges of the dock. And then as I work the outer edges, I'm also going up underneath the dock. And so this cast went fairly far underneath there, didn't get a hit under it. So I come out and I'm working another edge here. So I work the 2 outside edges on this dock without a hit. And then I skip back deep underneath there. And this is the cast where I skip back deep underneath there. And then I pick up one. This ends up being a nice fish. It ends up being about 17.5, 17.75, which, you know, for fun fishing is a nice fun fish. If you're tournament fishing, depending on the lake, if you're on Jacksonville, which has a 12 to 18 inch slot limit, it's a frustrating fish because it's just a little bit underneath the slot. If you're on Springfield, it's a great lake, a great fish, right? A 17.75 inch fish is a good fish for a tournament, sir. So, caught a nice one out of there. I'm going to skip ahead to bumping it, releasing it, and then we're going to pick back up here with a couple more casts up in there. I'm adjusting the Texas rig on it, and oops, I went too far on my back, and so we're going to get the Texas rig hooked up, ready to go, and then I start casting back underneath there. One of the things that one of my tournament partners showed me years ago was there's more than one fish underneath these docks. I pulled a 3-pounder out of there in a tournament, and while I was still taking the hook off, he fired back up in there and caught another 3-pounder right behind me. And so I fired right back up to the exact spot where I caught that one, and I've got another one on the line here now. I want to show you something here. He gets hung up on that dock. He's on one side of the piling, and my line's around the other side. And so I'm moving the boat over there to try to get over there close to it. Now, this is about a 15 and a half inch fish, so it's not a huge fish, but it is hung up on that piling right there. What I like to do, especially when I can get their head out of the water like that, is I like to keep the line tight and get them up next to the piling, and he happens to swim around it for me and bring it right off. So it's important when you get caught up in a piling like that, you want to be able to keep your line tight, and I will start working the boat up towards it so that I can reach down and either lip him and pull him off, or as I get there, I can use the rod to guide him around the line, around the piling, and get him off of there. And so this one happened to come off pretty easily around the piling, which I like. But it's a good practice that when you get one on wrapped where he's wrapped around the piling, keep that line tight and work your boat up close to him to get him off. So here's some of the lures that we used on this particular day, and these are actually my favorite lures for fishing shallow water docks. Strike King Bitsy Bug with a mini Rage Claw trailer. Misspelled mini there. I'll have to fix that at some point. With a mini Rage Claw trailer, and then I also like a Rocket Craw by Steele Custom Baits on a 3/0 Gamakatsu extra wide gap hook with a 1/4 ounce tungsten weight. And I'm a black, blue, either a black and blue, or a green pumpkin guy. Those are pretty much my 3 colors. I like a 7-foot heavy action rod with a fast tip. I like a fast reel to help me pick up the slack when they pick it up and get them out of there quickly. And I'm a fluorocarbon guy. I fish a lot of clear water, so I throw fluorocarbon on most of my reels, 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon. I think fluorocarbon's got good abrasion resistance, doesn't have as much stretch as mono, and you can horse them out of there if you need to, with 15 to 20 pound, at least in Illinois you can. So some lessons learned that I've picked up, and some of these are interesting. I picked them up after watching my videos of me fishing. Been fishing docks for years, and I started videotaping myself and picked up a couple tips to improve how I do things. The first one is tightening the brakes on the reel for when you're skipping. I keep my brakes really loose on my reel normally. Helps with long casts, helps with deep water fishing. And I was not adjusting them when I would go fish shallow water docks, and wasn't tightening them. And then I didn't realize how much backlash I was getting and how much fishing time I was losing until I started videotaping. And so then I started tightening down the brakes on the reels, and really get a lot less backlash. When I do, it's a lot less backlash, so it takes a shorter time to get it out. Really has increased the amount of time I can fish. So I'm very happy with just that little tip that I picked up on videotaping myself. It's important to practice skipping baits. As a bass fisherman, getting underneath the cover is key. So you want to be able to practice skipping baits. The other thing I tighten up when I'm fishing docks is I tighten up the drag, right? You got to be able to horse them out of there, try to keep them from getting you wrapped up in the pilings or any junk that's underneath the dock. So not only do I tighten the brakes, but I also tighten the drag. As I showed in the video, when a bass gets tangled up with the dock, you want to keep that line tight and then work the boat up to go get them. And then the final thing that I also talked about in the video was docks often have more than one bass on it. If you catch one, follow up on the dock till you quit catching them there. I've had docks where I've caught 4, 5, 6 bass off of. So once you catch one, keep firing up in there until you quit catching them. So appreciate you coming in and watching the video on shallow water dock fishing. I've got some other how-tos. I've got a jerkbait fishing one set up that I'm going to be doing, and I've got a frog fishing one that I'm going to be showing as well. If you like what you see with these videos and the how-tos, really like for you to provide some comments on what you like and what you don't like on these videos, so I can continue to make them better and continue to make sure I'm adding value for you. Please hit the like and subscribe button and provide comments. And thank you for coming in and checking out Fish the Mark again. Appreciate it.